I'll call the April meeting of the Richland County Board to order. Clerk Kalish is on my right. Attorney Wendell is on my right, Corporate Counsel. To my left is Sean Murphy Lopez, Vice Chairman, and way down at the end is Acting Administrator Mr. John Hokemer. And if you haven't had a chance to talk to John yet, take the opportunity. What he doesn't know about county government, you probably don't need to know. So, okay, Mr. Kalish, would you do the roll call, please?
Carroll.
Here.
Murphy Lopez.
Here.
Brewer.
Here.
Seep.
Here.
McKee.
Here.
Reinish. Luck.
Here.
Manning. Gacho. Glassburner.
Here.
Rudersdorf.
Here.
Gentis.
Here.
Turk. Cosgrove. Cosgrove. I believe he's here. Frank. Severson. Williamson.
Here.
Cooey.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
Voice. And McGuire. He's right out there by the door with Chad. So we have 15 of 21 present. We have a quorum.
Here.
And Chad Cosgrove.
Here.
Thank you.
We do have a quorum, thank you. And with us tonight is someone that I met a few weeks ago, and he's graciously going to do our invocation tonight. This is Pastor Tim Ward of the Free Methodist Church. And if you would remain standing after the invocation, I will then ask Clerk Kalish to lead us in the pledge. So please stand.
Heavenly Father, as we begin this meeting that we convene to run the business of this county, we're grateful for what you've created here. Father, I just am amazed at the gift you have given us in this community and this county, the beauty that you've given us. But Father, even more important that you've given us the privilege of operating this county. Father, I pray that you would be with these supervisors as they do your work. I pray, Father, that you would give them the wisdom, and I would be grateful if you would give us the honor of bringing you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have one of the shortest agendas I have ever seen for county board tonight. But those short agendas have a way of coming up and surprising you. So we'll try to get things done in a manner in which we can all get out of here, maybe in time to see Oak Island. What's Oak Island? Do you know what Oak Island is?
No, but I found 11 cents in the parking lot, so I'm going to buy everybody around a drink.
There you go. Well, eternal optimism. And we have a 26-point agenda. I will ask for approval. Mr. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We have an agenda. The minutes of the March 21st meeting, they were published. Do we have any corrections and or additions and or changes? If not...
Chairman, I move for approval.
Well, thank you, Mr. Seep. Mr. Seep moves for approval. Do we have a second? Yes, Richard. And all those in favor of approving the minutes as published signify by saying aye. Aye. We got it. Takes us to number 6 in our agenda, public comment. Anyone wish to speak? Public? Does anyone on the board wish to become a member of the public and speak? Okay, We will go on then to our ordinances relating to parcels, land, and we'll get Mr. Bindle up here, zoning administrator. Bindle. And first one we have to consider is an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Brian Hack in the town of Marshall. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 23-7, amendment number 567 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described 12.6 acre parcel belonging to Brian Hack in the town of Marshall is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry to ag and residential district. This ordinance shall be effective on April 19th of 2023 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on April 3rd of 23.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Gotchel, seconded by Richard. And
Question.
we have a question. Do you want to wait for the background first, Mr. Seep, or?
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Bindle?
The background on his parcel is that it's on the opposite side of the road than the rest of his land, so that's why he's just going to split it off to be sold off.
Thank you. Mr. Seep?
The parcel of land that's across the road, is that all part of the same parcel?
Did you hear the question?
Is it part of the 35 acre requirement?
The rest of the land, there is several parcels to the north of this that's over 35 acres, and then there's more land that goes into the town of Sylvan that goes with this property.
Okay. Don, does that answer your question?
Thank you.
All right. Okay, you've heard the ordinance, you've heard the background. All those in favor of approving this ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the ordinance is adopted. Item number 8, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Michael Milfred in the town of Westford. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 23-8, amendment number 568 to zoning ordinance number 5, with the following described 2.986 acre parcel belonging to Michael Milford in the town of Westford is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry to the single-family residential R2 district. This ordinance shall be effective on April 19th of 2023, and again is offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on April 3rd of 23.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Melissa Luck, seconded by Mr. Williamson. Mr. Bindle.
The background on this parcel is that Mr. Milford is separating out the house in a few acres and then is selling the rest of the land or giving the land to his family, which will be over 35 acres.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Seep, any comments on this one? It's in your township.
I move for approval.
Well, thank you. Do we have a second?
We already have that.
Oh, yeah, we've already put it before us, Don, but I do appreciate your
I
comment.
give you a third.
Yeah, give me a third. All those in favor of this ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ordinance is adopted. Number 9, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Audrey Oliver and Don Stanky in the town of Orion. Mr. Kalish.
Ordinance number 23-9, amendment number 569 to zoning ordinance number 5, with the following 2.986 parcel belonging to Audrey Oliver and Don Stanky in the town of Orion is hereby rezoned from the general ag and forestry district to the single-family residential R2 district, again effective on April 19th of 2023, and was brought to you before by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on April 3rd of 23.
You've heard the ordinance. Ms. Gentis makes, and that guy in the back there, Mark Cooey, Mr. Cooey, seconds. Okay, background.
The background on this is that Mrs. Oliver is buying more land from Mr. Stanky to make it more in standings or regulated. Right now it's like 0.5 acres, now it's going to be 2-something acres.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Number 10, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Thomas and Sherry Phillips and John and Carrie Palacios in the town of Buena Vista. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 23-10, amendment number 570 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described 13.14 acre parcel belonging to Thomas and Sherry Phillips and John and Carrie Palacios in the town of Buena Vista is hereby rezoned from General Ag and Forestry District and Agriculture and Residential District to Agriculture Residential District. This ordinance shall be effective on April 19th of 23 and is being offered to you by the Land and Zoning Standing Committee on April 3rd of 23.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure, Mr. Cooey? Seconded by Ms. Gentis. Background, please, Mr. Bindle.
The background on this is that John and Carrie have a parcel next to Thomas and Sherry Phillips, which is Carrie's parents. They are buying more land, so part of the land's already zoned ag residential, but what's being added needs to be zoned ag residential also.
Thank you. Any questions? Any comments? All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ordinance is adopted. Mr. Bindle, while you're there, would you please tell us if you have any petitions for zoning received since the last county board session?
There is a petition by Ken and Ann Renish to rezone 8 acres from ag forestry to ag residential. Section 30, Town of Willow. There is a petition by Corey Crary to rezone 3.47 acres from ag forestry to residential 2. Section 14, Town of Westford. There's a petition by Jerry and Vicky Stadel to rezone 5 acres from ag forestry to ag residential in Section 24, Town of Eagle. And there's a petition by Jesse and Elizabeth Adset to rezone 8 acres from ag forestry to ag residential, Section 29, Town of Dayton.
Thank you. And then, do you have any rezoning positions that you're recommending for denial by the
None.
Zoning and Land Information Committee? None? Okay, thank you, sir. Agenda item number 13, a resolution relating to the appointment of an interim administrator and contracting with Public Administration Associates, LLC. Mr. Kalish, if you would read the resolution, and then many of us here will help with the details. Mr. Kalish.
This is resolution number 23-37. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby given to enter into contracts with Public Administration Associates, LLC of Whitewater, Wisconsin in the following amounts of $18,200 for services provided in recruiting to fill the county administrator vacancy and of $37,500 in providing interim county administrator services. Be it further resolved that Public Administration Associates, LLC has recommended revisions to the job description. Be it further resolved that the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee has accepted the recommended revisions to the job description, which is on file in the County Administrator's office. Be it further resolved that the annual salary of the County Administrator shall be between $100,000 and $125,000, depending on qualifications of the successful nominee. Be it further resolved that John Hockemer of PAA is hereby appointed interim county administrator effective 17 April 2023 and lasting until a subsequent appointment is made by the county board or the agreement with PAA is terminated. Be it further resolved that funding for the project shall be covered through existing balance in the administrator's office budget and from contingency fund 11. Be it further resolved that the Richland County Clerk shall have authority to sign all necessary documents in executing the intentions of this resolution and authority of a 10% contingency. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on April 4th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir, Mr. Sieb.
I move for approval of the resolution. This is an excellent choice for the direction of the county.
Thank you, Mr. Sieb. From the fine township of Westford, yes, thank you. And Mr. McKee seconds. Okay, we'll do a little talking now. This is not uncharted territory for us, because 3 years ago, we made the decision to go with a county administrator. And Clint Langrick served admirably in that capacity, and he had the opportunity to get about, I think, 37.3 miles closer to home by being the city manager of Platteville. Clint lives with his family in Mineral Point, so it was a good move for him, very good move. And we debated. Clint had a couple alternatives that he recommended, and we talked it out, and we came down to it. We felt that we needed to place ourselves in the hands of professionals who do this, who do it for a living. And we chose Public Administration Associates, Dave Brettel, and then John Holcomer, who's also associated. And John, well, I don't know if he drew the short straw. I don't think so.
No.
He won the opportunity to serve as your interim administrator. And we think that that will probably last for 3 months, hopefully no longer. But if it does, I won't be disappointed, I'll tell you that. The posting, we had a couple of changes in the job description, most of them initiated by Clinton Langrick, things that he saw a chance to tidy up as he left. We knew that we could not attract the type of candidate we want at the present job salary range, so we increased that. We feel that that will be sufficient to get the kind of candidates we need. Comments or questions from the floor? Ms. Gentis?
How much is the increase?
Well, I think Clint was making just shy of 100,000 with the raises that we'd given him. 98, I think, was the last. And we're recommending here a range of 100 to 120. I don't have it in front of me, but 125, 100 to 125. Hopefully you can hire someone at the bottom of that range, and they'll have room to grow. Yes.
And how much are we paying new HR?
The contract with them started at 18.2, I believe, and because we eliminated a couple meetings and had a couple meetings via web or Zoom.
Marty, she needs the human resources director. HR.
Oh, the HR director? Yeah. I don't have that in front of me, Linda. I can't tell you that.
Mr. Chair. Okay.
We'll let Ingrid Glassman, our chair of that committee, speak to that.
Mr. Chair,
It's not under my committee,
Oh,
so I don't have the answer to that
it
either.
isn't HR, no. Mr. McGuire?
But I
the
have a
numbers
question.
that you put out there, is that wages or wages and benefits together?
That would be what, salary. Salary, yeah. The rule of thumb is what? How much do you, when you add in benefits, you're what,
I don't know whether it's 40%.
40? Yeah,
Mr. Chair,
okay.
Mr. Chair,
Melissa Luck?
at the finance meeting, I believe the figure for the HR director was 84,000 plus benefits.
And what was that amount again?
84,000 plus benefits.
84 plus benefits,
Yeah.
okay.
So it would be less than what this position is listed at.
Yes, okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ingrid?
Has the job description, I know you guys said you made some changes, has that been finalized through
Yes.
finance and personnel?
We did finalize it at Finance and Personnel, yes. And we were going to have a meeting tonight before this meeting, but we, at the tail end of our meeting last week, we approved that, and we approved the salary range.
Last month's folder, or last meeting's folder?
It should be.
Okay.
It'd be Finance and Personnel folder, yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. McGuire.
to be clear now, that was 84,000 plus benefits?
Well, that's for the Human Resources Director. So
Mr. Chair.
I'm not sure how we jumped into that, but we did. Yes, Mr. Seeb?
Yes, with benefits, it's over 100,000.
Right. But right now, we're talking about the county administrator.
Right, okay, that's why I asked.
And that salary range is 100, published at 100 to 125 in the places that we advertise.
That's what you're proposing then for the new,
Well, yes, but that's what we've given to Public Administration Associates, and that's what they're running with right now.
all right, thank you.
Okay, John, I will call on you perhaps to tell us where that will be advertised.
If you give me just 1 second here.
Take your time, we've got a short agenda.
Just let me pull out that file.
I probably have it here too, if I could get myself in gear.
Okay, the ads, do I have to turn this on?
It's on.
Yeah, go.
Okay.
Good.
The ads started going out on last week Friday and continued today. So by the end of today, the ads should be in the following places: with the International City, County and Management Association, the National Association of Counties, and they have a very wide following on their websites. The Government Finance Association officers, Wisconsin Government Finance Association officers, the Wisconsin Counties Association, Michigan Association of Counties, Minnesota Association of Counties, League of Municipalities, the Wisconsin City County Management Association, the Illinois City and County Management Association, the Iowa League of Cities, an organization called Strategic Government Resources, and then several universities that are known for these types of programs: Kansas, Northern Illinois, University of Minnesota, Mankato, Syracuse, and Brigham Young. It's also listed on the website for PAA and on LinkedIn. And then we call PAA, Dave Brettel and I will be calling people that we think may be good fits. They're not necessarily looking to make a move, but we do some checking to see if they might be interested.
They're always looking for a job.
So,
Chairman.
yes, Mr. Seeb, go ahead. Yes, sir. Mr. Seeb?
Yes, question for John, may I? John, did I hear someone say, or maybe it was you, that the $100 to $125,000 range, whatever he's hired at, or she is hired at, would plus benefits would be about 40% of the their salary? Is that correct?
Well, Mr. Williamson provided that information, but I think that is correct.
Well, he's a very good source.
He's smiling. Thank you. I think that's the rule of thumb with any salary, but
Yes, with the retirement program, it's around 40%, I think.
right. So, we've been busy. We had to react with reasonable dispatch, I will say. Not hastily, but with reasonable dispatch. We've gone through this process before. Yes, sir, Mr. McGuire.
It would seem like a good idea here. I did not know what Clinton was making, okay? But we were paying him quite well. What I'm getting at is, if changing to Platteville from Mineral Point as opposed to Richland Center from Mineral Point, it sounds like we should probably hire someone pretty close so that we don't hear this same thing again. I think it's going to cause a lot of hard work for us to lose him and to replace him. So I just don't think administrators are just, there's dozens of them in every community. So I would imagine this is going to be a difficult search.
Well, it will be difficult but fruitful. I'm confident. Yes. Mr. Seep, you want to comment on that?
Well,
Did you hear Mr. McGuire's comment?
yeah, I have a great admiration for Mr. McGuire, but I don't think that we should limit ourselves to local geography. We need to hire the best man we can find for the right price, or the best woman. The best woman,
The best person.
yes.
Well, but Dan, I agree. I always wondered, whenever we hire these directors from way away, I wonder how long that'll keep up.
Yes, otherwise we could be doing this again in 2 years.
Yep, but we won't let that cloud our decision, though. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to ask for a vote then. The resolution that you heard, it sets everything, which really is already in motion, but it gives our final stamp of approval and gets the county along the way to good governance. All those, yes, sir? Do you want a roll call?
Yeah,
Well,
for the record.
we can do a roll call. And I vote would be in favor of all the things we've talked about. A nay, no.
Okay,
Mr. Kalish.
so we will start with Murphy Lopez,
Aye.
Brewer,
Aye.
Seep,
Aye.
McKee,
Aye.
Renish, Luck,
Aye.
Manning, Gotchel,
Aye.
Glassbrenner,
Aye.
Rudersdorf,
Aye.
Gentis,
Aye.
Turk, Cosgrove, Frank, Severson, Williamson,
Aye.
Cooey,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
Voice,
Aye.
McGuire,
Aye.
and Carroll.
Aye.
All right, 16, your motion carries.
Okay, the motion carries. And thank you, board. You do good work, and that was good work. Okay.
I have a unanimous vote.
Moving right along. A resolution relating to paying a bill to Custom Manufacturing, Inc. for a snowmobile bridge replacement, Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-38. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to pay an invoice from Custom Manufacturing, Inc. for $49,900 for bridge replacement through the Snowmobile Trail Aids Grant Number S5693. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the county board members of the Fair, Recycling, and Park Standing Committee on February 22nd of 23.
Okay, you've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Voice, Mr. Cooey seconds. Yes, and Kathy Cooper is standing at, and go ahead, Ms. Voice, ask the question.
Yes, is the grant covering this 100%, or does the county have to put in money for this?
Okay, Ms. Cooper.
No, it's 100%. Then once we get the check, I make copies, send everything to the state, and they reimburse the county.
They do a good job taking care of snowmobile trails. All we need now is snow.
We had it Sunday.
I know we did, but not enough.
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yes.
question as well. So does that mean the grant?
Speak into the mic.
Does that mean the grant is for the exact same amount as the expenditure?
The grant is higher, but we send the grant in, they use an estimate, and so then we actually, once the grant is approved, then we do a bidding procedure. And if the bids are higher, then a lot of times they'll give us the extra money, we just have to, but if it's lower, then we just get the money that we're requesting.
So the remainder can be used for?
It's left back and is left in the snowmobile fund at the state, and then it's distributed later to others.
Thank you.
I think the snowmobilers, when they register their machines, pay that, so. But those bridges get double use. The hiking, biking, walking, use them, don't they? Huh?
Yeah, my question was gonna be which bridges.
It was on the Meese property.
Okay. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution is adopted. Number 15, a resolution approving the Richland County Sheriff's Office to enter into a contract with the Village of Lone Rock for law enforcement services. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-39. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Sheriff's Office to enter into a contract with the Village of Lone Rock to provide law enforcement services. Be it further resolved that the County Board Chair Marty Brewer is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county a contract in accordance with this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on April 4th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Luck? And a second, Mr. McKee.
I'll second.
Well, Mr. McGuire, let's put on 2 seconds then.
I'm a third, I'll be a third.
A third. And we do have Aaron Wallace here to speak to this. So, Chief Deputy, go ahead.
Sheriff Court has been working quite a while with the Village of Lone Rock for this contract. The contract's going to be by hours, so if we're there, they're going to pay us for the hours that we're working in Lone Rock. Up to 20 hours a week, they'll reimburse us for. That's the short and sweet of it.
I looked over that contract, and it really covers a lot of information. I mean, it takes a lot into consideration.
And Melissa just wanted me to mention too, we're not hiring anyone new to
Right.
cover those hours. We're going to be covering it with our staffing levels that we currently have.
Great. I think this is really good. This actually is bringing money back in, so.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I strongly support this because that village has been without really much police protection for quite some time. When I was on the building board there, I promoted this about 7 years ago, and I'm glad it's finally got to happen.
Okay, Mr. McGuire, you're a Lone Rock guy,
That's right.
not a lawbreaker, though.
No, well, at least not anymore.
Okay, it takes one to know one, but,
Oh,
Mr. Seep, go ahead.
Yes, I understand that there may be additional shared revenue available to the county or the municipality with this arrangement. That was on the news this morning.
Oh, okay, great. Okay,
For any municipality that has shared use of county law enforcement.
we're always in favor of shared revenue increases. Okay, everyone in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We got it. Thank you. Number 16, a resolution relating to making a deficiency appropriation in various accounts. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-40. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that that it is necessary to make a deficiency appropriation in the following deficient accounts. Elections, $24,790.39. Sheriff's Department uniform allowance, $3,152.09. Simon's Recreation Complex Fund, $40,312.86. Campus Food Service Fund, $53,496.95. Richland County Fair Fund, $6,286.19. Dog License Fund, $4,236.47. Institutional Children's Cost, $192,113.31. Be further resolved that the sum of $324,388.26 is hereby appropriated from the general fund to the above listed accounts in the 2022 county budget to cover the deficiencies listed in these accounts. Be further resolved that any balances remaining in the above listed Fund 10 accounts after this transfer and after the 2022 audit has been completed shall be returned to the general fund. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Standing Committee on April 4th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cooey? Seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. And comments? I know Sean Murphy Lopez voted against this in committee, so I think he might have a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so the reason that I'm opposed to this is I think we need to see where we have our surpluses, and I think we need to see where we're at the end of the year across the whole county budget. So that was my reason.
Yeah, and my comment, not particularly in reference to that, but this is really an accounting procedure. The money has already been spent. We're simply straightening out the books here so we know what went into those funds. And I agree with Sean. And really, it comes down to better budgeting and better planning at the outset. A couple of these, I think, happened. It's still the deficiency, for instance, out at Simon's, that's been an ongoing thing for many years. Part of it is still the aftermath of COVID. The campus food service, we know why that's deficient. It takes no genius to figure that out. Institutional children's cost is another matter. I'm so concerned about those institutional costs for both adults and children that we simply we budget. Trish Klevitz, the director of HHS, is here.
So this isn't that we overspent, but we received funds after the audit was closed. And so that is why we had the deficiency.
Okay. Was your mic on? I don't think I heard it. You heard it perfectly.
So what happened with that is we received state funds after the audit had occurred.
Okay.
And so they were just put back. So we didn't overspend in the year, but the funds came after the audit.
So did we get sufficient funds to cover those deficiencies?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep, they just, when we get them, we give them back to the general fund. They don't go back into that budget. They go into the general fund instead of balancing that out.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, would you like me to explain this a little bit? Or
Ms. Voice, did you have a comment?
Yes. If we were to vote for this tonight to remove this deficiency and there actually is money for it,
right.
It just doesn't seem right.
Okay, Clerk Kalish.
Okay, so let me just explain how this deficiency appropriation thing works, very big picture. This is an entry that's made historically every March, or it is brought to county board in March and made before the auditors come in April. So the auditors are here with us today. We've been hanging out all day. So what happens at the end of the year, sometime within the first couple weeks in January, we'll run a preliminary cash trial balance of every fund account that the county has, right? So what that tells us is whether that fund is over or under. There are instances, though, as Tricia noted, that monies come in after the new year. So HHS is a great example of that. We can run a report in January, but due to their reporting, sometimes items are only reimbursed every quarter, meaning they won't come in until after the fact. So yours in particular was one that Clint, I know, left a note that said he was going to follow up with you and work on that. So I didn't know that's where that was. But anyway, it was one of these things in progress. So in January, I run that preliminary report that says, here's where people are with budget-wise. Then I reach out to departments and say, you're going to be asked to explain this deficiency, so you should provide me with some sort of an example. So this way, when I draft this resolution and send it to the powers that be, that you folks have an idea of why these deficiencies occur. So there are some accounts that are not listed on here that if you run a cash trial balance, they will show that they're negative. They're in a credit balance, but that's because we've spoken with the department heads and we know there's money coming in. It just hasn't made its way in before we do the entry. So as Marty noted, one of the primary reasons we do these entries is for these funds that are outside of Fund 10, those balances do not reset to zero at the end of the year. They carry forward, right? So if you have a deficiency and you don't fill it with money from the general fund for whatever reason, right, that credit balance, that negative balance, will continue to move forward for years until you fill that. So if you choose to fill the bucket back up, as Marty noted, the money is already spent. We're just making an entry to zero that out to zero, so there's a true starting balance for the next year. Because if you don't do that, that credit balance is going to stick through there. Now, the reason why budgets are overspent, we could spend days and years talking about that, right? So there's lots of reasons why that occurs. I do think that we need to have better processes in place to track those budgets. Department heads are provided with summary sheets every month, but that's not enough, right? We need more supervision in that area. But these efficiency appropriations, the money spent, you're not spending more money. We're simply taking money from the general fund, Fund 10, to fill those buckets that live outside of Fund 10 to take that balance to zero. And if you don't do that, the negative balance carries forward. If you fill it, it starts to zero. So I will point you to the elections fund because that happens to be one of my favorite ones, right? So that balance is $24,790.39, okay? So if we don't fill that, I'm going to start 2023 with a deficit of the $24,000. The reason that budget went over is because the cost of items increased, ballot printing increased. There were 2 elections budgeted for, but we actually had 3. There are some years we have 4, so balancing or budgeting for elections is always kind of tricky because you may have a primary that you wouldn't expect you have, right? But we have to have elections because that's what we do. I stepped into this in 2021 not knowing what the new machines and everything were going to cost that the townships acquired through ARPA funds. So that would be what I would do to myself, then I say, Derek, explain why you have that deficiency. I've explained to you why I have that deficiency. This is what happened. This is why the account went over. But I will also tell you in that same breath, I now track every cent that we spend on elections and can cost allocate that back to any county or any municipality within the county. So I can look at every election, tell you how much they cost down to the penny and what share of every municipality that expense belongs to. That hadn't been done before, but it's things like that we have to work on. I think we all know we have to get better at that, but that's what I'm doing for my funds. I did reach out to the other department heads that are listed on that deficiency. I'd be happy to explain to you the reasons they gave me, but this is a normal thing. This is an accounting entry, a budget entry to reset those buckets. If we don't, the negative balance carries forward. Those funds are outside of Fund 10, so maybe you don't want to approve some of them because those funds are not in Fund 10. I suppose you could do that as well. That's the power that you folks have. But if you say yes, the bucket's filled. If you don't, the bucket's not filled and the negative balance carries forward for any deficient account.
Thank you, Derek, for that explanation. Any further questions and or comments? Ingrid Glespinner.
So I know Trish already explained this, but I just want to reiterate because I know that this comes up a lot as far as institutional costs. So as chair, I just want to
And
reiterate
that is your
again,
committee.
it is my committee.
Yes.
That is not us overspending our budget. We had budgeted appropriately, so deficiency is kind of a misnomer for that one, but it's because of the way we balanced. Did not overspend.
Okay, thank you.
And also to note, this is at a moment in time, right? So I try to do this at the same time every year because March 15th is the deadline that we give departments to submit items to us to post back to previous years because the auditors are requesting reports from us, really starting in February sometimes, to get ready for their visit in April. So this is I don't want to say it's a movie number because we can pull the reports, but that's as of that day. So things do happen after we pull it where revenues do come in.
Sheriff Wallace has a comment.
Just chief deputy, but.
Well, you're all sheriffs.
I just want to make a quick comment too. The reason our budget for the uniform allowance is over, that's for turnover. Every new employee, they get a set amount of dollars set that we have to provide them when we hire them. So with more turnover, more money goes out, and obviously the budget's only a projection of what we're going to have for employees that we currently have. But we were able to, our budget was, what, 41,000 some odd dollars that we returned to the county. So even though we went over for the uniform, there was money that went back to the county.
Thank you. Okay. Are we ready to vote on this? If so, I will call the question. All those in favor of covering the deficiencies?
Mr. Chairman?
We'll call a roll on this. Mr. Sieb. Okay?
Yes, could I make a quick comment?
You may. You may.
The question of deficiencies, I thank Mr. Kalish for a very logical explanation. This is a process that occurs each year, and it's a matter of good accounting. I support this resolution wholeheartedly. However, I do agree with Mr. Murphy Lopez, and with Derek that we need to be more intentional in terms of monitoring those budgets and controlling those budgets on a consistent monthly basis. That is the responsibility of the committees to do that and to report it to the Personnel and Finance Committee and to the administrator, or to work with the administrator. But the department heads must be perhaps trained. Most are, some aren't, and the committee members must be trained to follow a procedure for analyzing those budgets and determining where there may be deficiencies if some controls are not introduced. We can control deficiencies to some degree if we are looking at those budgets on a consistent monthly basis. Some are not so easy to control. Institutional placement is one example, but I agree fully with both Mr. Kalish and Mr. Murphy Lopez in terms of our being more responsible in monitoring those budgets.
Thank you. Mr. Kalish, are you ready to call a roll vote, please?
I'm ready.
Go ahead.
So we will start with Brewer.
Aye.
Sieb.
Aye.
McKee. Renish. Luck.
Aye.
Manning. Gotcho.
Aye.
Glassbrenner.
Aye.
Rudersdorf.
Aye.
Gentis.
Aye.
Turk. Cosgrove.
Aye.
Frank. Severson. Williamson.
Aye.
Cooey.
Aye.
Fleming.
Aye.
Voice.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Carroll.
Aye.
And Sean Murphy Lopez.
No.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted. Number 17, a resolution approving the Sheriff's Office applying for and accepting a COPS hiring grant from the U.S. Department of Justice Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-41. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Sheriff's Office to apply for and accept a COPS hiring grant from the United States Department of Justice for patrol hiring purposes. Be it further resolved that the grant would fund up to $125,000 and requires a minimum local match of 25% of wages and benefits for the duration of the grant program. Be it further resolved that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance with the terms of that grant, and the county clerk is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county any documents needed to carry out this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the Public Standing Committee on April 14th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, Ms. Glasbrenner.
Mr. Chair,
Second this.
this is Melissa.
Yes, Melissa?
So there, it's not supposed to say "and accepting," so I'm going to immediately offer a motion to amend this to say that we are giving them permission to apply for the COPS hiring grant. So changing the language in the title, and then also within the body where it says apply for and accept in the second whereas, the and accept part. And I will just let you know that, so as a committee, we talked about, because this would require a matching amount of money from the county for a position, a new position in the Sheriff's Department. And we are not ready to say that we are going to be hiring a new person in the Sheriff's Department. One of the conversations we are having has to do with more of these contracts, like with Lone Rock. Casanova is another possibility. So the sheriff is looking into, could this position actually be used to fulfill these contracts and so the money paying for the salary would come from those contracts. So we would like them to be able to apply for it, but a lot of conversations have to happen before we would accept it. Same thing we did last year.
No, it would need to be a formal.
Yeah, so I just made the motion if someone would like to say.
So, you're making the motion to amend. Do we have a second? Mr. Cooey? Yes,
Can I ask a question?
You may.
If we're not including the accepting, then do you want the second to last be it further resolved still there for the approval granted for the funds to be spent?
It's hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent in accordance. I don't know, I guess Corporation Counsel, I would defer to your thoughts on that particular part.
Corp Counsel Wendell is commenting. You think he's going to?
I would remove that from this resolution and add that into the actual acceptance resolution at some point in the future.
Okay,
So the last whereas is removed then in your amendment?
yes, if that's his recommendation.
It's not a whereas.
Be it further
I
resolved.
don't have it queued up here, so.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to hear that Casanova is interested, that Ms. Luck's committee is having a conversation about that. The citizens of Casanova will rise in standing ovation for you, Ms. Luck.
It's the Sheriff's Department, it's Sheriff Porter, not me.
From what Sheriff Porter's been talking with the village of Casanova, that they're only interested in 3 hours at this time. He's still under negotiations with them, trying to get possibly more hours from the village of Casanova.
So essentially, we just want to make sure that they apply for this, they have the ability to apply for this grant, but that before we agree to take the money, that we have fully dived into whether or not we actually can afford to hire a new position.
Okay, so the original resolution now has been amended, and basically it's saying that they can apply for it.
Correct.
Okay, all in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now we have the amended resolution. Does anyone need a reading of that, or do we understand what we're doing here? We're applying for the grant.
Mr. Chair, just for the board's knowledge here too. We've applied the last 2 years, and we haven't had it accepted. So we're hopeful that maybe this year we'll get accepted for it, but I just want to throw out that we've applied the last 2 years and have not been accepted for the program
Okay,
yet.
thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Carroll?
Yeah. Does anyone recall if the 5-year plan we worked on recently has this as an item in it?
It does not.
It does not?
It does not, but we also didn't have in their contract, the sheriff's department contracting out for other municipalities, so.
Sorry, and I think that's what Sheriff Porter was hoping for with the Village of Lone Rock's contract for the 20 hours. That would cover the other half of what the grant would pay. So in essence, if we have the Village of Lone Rock's contract with this CAPS grant, the whole position would be paid for.
Can I ask one more question? How long does the grant, what's the duration?
3 years.
3 years, okay.
Okay, so we have the question before us. Is it okay to apply for the grant? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. We can apply. Thank you. A resolution number 18, a resolution authorizing the purchase of new heat exchangers for the courthouse. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-42. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors, they authorize the purchase of 3 heat exchangers for Precision Controls and Services LLC in the amount of $19,795, $18,000 allocated from Fund 75 short-term capital borrowing, and $1,795 allocated from Fund 43 courthouse repair fund. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on April 13th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Carroll? Mr. McKee, seconds. Any questions? Mr. McGuire? Mr. McGuire?
What type of heat exchangers are these? Are these steam, hot water, or are they for air heat exchangers?
Don't know.
Don't know?
Dan, this is the committee that you're on, if you remember our meeting last week.
Well,
They are up $600 from the last ones that we purchased, so, and we have no spares left. And we started last year buying 3 to keep on hand, and we have, Randy has utilized everything that we have on hand, so.
Okay. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have approved the purchase of the heat exchangers. And I really have to comment on the maintenance of the courthouse. It is absolutely superb. And I appreciate everything that's being done. It's wonderful. It's good to have somebody in charge. Okay, number 19, a resolution approving a provider contract for 2023 for the Health and Human Services Department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-43. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Health and Human Services Board to enter into the following 2023 contract with Marathon County Juvenile Detention Center of Wausau for $160,000 to provide secure detention services for youth being served by the Child and Youth Services Unit. Be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend any of the above contracts by not more than 15%, and that the Director of Health and Human Services, Ms. Tricia Clements, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the County Board members of the Health and Human Services and Veteran Standing Committee on April 13th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
I'd like to make a motion.
You may. This is Danielle Rudersdorf. Thank you. I see your, I don't see your picture though. Okay, do we have a second? Yes. Ms. Fleming, seconds. And Tricia Clements is standing by.
So this is a contract that we need for juveniles who commit violations of the law and can't remain in the community and need to be in a secure setting.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Resolution is adopted. Number 20, resolution authorizing the transition of the Extension Office to Richland County Community Services Building. And that's it. We're moving the 4-H. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-44. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that they authorize the Community Services Building to be prepared to receive the extension staff. And now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors, they authorize that the Community Services Building to have barrier doors installed between the extension staff and the mental health unit. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that they authorize this by a 3/4 vote. Work to be done by the county itself as per Rule 14.1.4, rules of the board. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication. And this is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on April 13th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cooey, seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. Some of the background here, we're talking about the annex building. I can't remember what it's called out there that the extension is currently in. That was removed from the memo of agreement that the county had with the university system, so it frees that building up for disposition. And in preparation for that, though, we have to find a home for the extension. And Tricia Clements has graciously invited them over, and so their new home is going to be across the street, or up the street from here. So, plans are being made, improvements are being made, accommodations are happening.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
has there been an estimate of how much the cost is going to be to accommodate?
I will ask Mr. Williamson for that information.
No estimates as of yet. I met with Tricia and Randy yesterday morning. We came up with one plan. I met yesterday afternoon with Tricia and Adam Haiti, who's the district, I don't know what you call him.
Administrator, I think.
Yeah. Came up with a new plan, so actually I think, Trish, we probably can get away with no money being spent if we go ahead with these 8 months, 2024, with the new remodel, which is part of the 2024 budget. So that's where we're sitting right now.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, you said 8 months, so that would be 8 months until they move into it?
No, 8 months they would be in the position, the offices that Tricia showed us yesterday. In the, what is it, Sean, the 2024 budget, there was a plan to remodel that, or is that, I'm not completely understand it either, but it's, the plan would be to remodel the computer lab area, MIS would be moving, the coroner's office would be moving, maybe even Barb understands it more, I don't know. Or Tricia, do you know the whole plan? Or where this plan actually came from?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say I don't know about anything in our budget. That was going to be my question. What fund was this coming from, the cost of remodeling?
Tricia, I'll call on you. I don't know if you've got the answer to that question, but
I don't know where they would be coming from. I know it would not be coming, we would not have it in our budget. Discussions we had with Clint about the remodel for 2024 was that they would try to work it into the budget to do the remodel in 2024. So for temporary, there are open offices that we have available for extension staff if they choose to come over, if that's the decision that is made. The discussion that we're having is how can the public get access to them? And so we had talked about, there are ways that we could do it at no cost. They come in, check in with reception, and then a call is placed to Extension staff is one option. We talked about a possible buzzer that they could just press, and then extension staff could come out. So there are ways that it could be done for little to no cost.
I think that, I guess we haven't dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's on this, or maybe added all of the columns, but it stands to reason that freeing up a whole building and utilizing vacant areas of another building that we're heating and cooling and lighting, it's got to be a savings overall, unless, we go with gold-plated fixtures or something, but we won't. I know that the chair of the property committee will be frugal.
I believe, and Mark and Chad, that came mostly from Clint, I think, that talked about the remodel, so
Yeah.
somewhere in, that was kind of news to me, but I mean, this is all, this whole East Hall and now the moving and UW campus is all new to us, so we're working on it.
So acting administrator Holcomer, this looks like an immediate challenge. He's nodding.
He was involved with some of the discussion, I believe, and he did state that is going to the top of his list of to-do items.
Right. Mr. Cooey?
Yeah, just another part of that. So East Hall had its own internet phone service, if I remember correctly. So now this will bring them on to our servers. We don't have to pay anything to do that.
Right.
So there's a cost savings. There should be somewhat of a cost savings there. So.
Yeah. Yes, Tim Gutschall.
So in the resolution, we're authorizing barrier doors to be installed. Does anyone know where those are being installed?
After our discussion yesterday, we decided that we probably won't need them between Trish and I and Randy, but I asked Mark and Chad their opinion on it, and they thought it'd be best to leave them in there. I was going to make an amendment to remove them, but they thought it would be best, and I agree that we just leave that in there as is. We're not for sure 100% what's going to happen over there, but with the idea that they would be moving probably within the next 2 months.
Yeah. Yes, Ms. Gentis.
I'm not against this. When we moved the land and soil service to the county, did we have a resolution to do that?
I don't think so. I
So
think
is
that
there
was,
really a reason? Can't they just figure this out? Why are we having a resolution?
yeah, and perhaps you're right. We probably, go ahead, Corp Counsel Wendell.
So I had the same question, and it turns out that per the description of the county administrator, he or she can plan the administration of county properties, but the actual utilization does need to be determined by the board. So this, if this wasn't done previously, that was probably an error.
Okay, and we were paying rent for the people that you mentioned, the land conservation. We were paying rent for them to stay in a building, so. Okay, anybody else? All right, I'm going to call a vote. All those in favor of this resolution, moving 4H and the other extension offices, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. Okay. Will it be necessary to call roll? I don't think so. But please note, Murphy Lopez says a no. Okay. The resolution is adopted. A resolution approving the purchase of Barracuda Essential Security Edition Web Security Gateway and Message Archiver software at a cost of $22,054.80. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-45. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the purchase of Barracuda Essential Security Edition web security gateway, and message archiver software from JCOM Technologies at a cost of $22,054.80. Be it further resolved that the funds to carry out this resolution shall come from the MIS budget, and approval is hereby granted for the MIS director to sign the purchase agreement for these items. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication, and this is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on April 13th of 2023.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. Much your pleasure, Mr. Cooey. Seconded by Ms. Fleming. Barb, are you going to speak to this, perhaps? Our MIS director?
This is a...
This is a budgeted cost that we do every year. It's nothing out of the ordinary, and it is a necessary expense.
Okay. And all of you weren't privy to the meeting that Clint and I were able to attend last year about security. It was scary, really scary. We do know of a county that was held for ransom in the state, probably more than one. And we don't want to get in that situation. So I wholeheartedly suggest we okay this expense. You've heard the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Number 22. A resolution approving the purchase of an audio-video system for the county boardroom at a cost not to exceed $55,000. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 23-46. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the purchase of audio video system for the county board room at a cost not to exceed $55,000. Be it further resolved that the funds to carry out this resolution shall come from Fund 92, and approval is hereby granted for the MIS director to sign the purchase agreement for these items. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication, and is being offered to you by the Public Works Standing Committee on April 13th of 2023.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Ms. Luck, seconded by Ms. Fleming. I'll ask Barb to comment on this once again, and then I'll make some comments.
So this would be using Fund 92, which we did have funds allocated for this expense. We'd be using also some money that was allocated for computer systems, towers, and laptops that we were able to purchase with ARPA funds. So with that, we have extra funds that I'd be able to allocate for this. Often, especially Mr. Murphy-Lopez has heard me say, I'm really sorry, we cannot accommodate your request for a meeting at that time because I do not have staff available. This system will allow supervisors and department heads, whoever is needing, to run the meeting without MIS support. The county boardroom will become a fully accessible audio-visual room on its own that would do all of your committees. You would still need MIS support if there was closed session to ensure privacy and that only those that were to be remotely connected were, but it will greatly reduce the requirements for MIS staff to be present. It does come at a cost, however, I think with our dedication to the public and wanting to be able to share our meetings and allow remote connection, this is the direction we need to go in. It is costly, but it also is going to eliminate a lot of the problems we've been having here tonight. The equipment that we currently have will not go to waste. It will be reused in other conference rooms. We have conference room, I believe it's 2 downstairs in the land and zoning area that will be outfitted so that there can be meetings done there as well.
So all of the funds that we have spent so far will be reused. There isn't any waste that's going to happen, and we do have the funds to fully go through with this project.
Thank you, Barb. And I will comment that we've seen an evolution in the way that we conduct meetings since the onset of COVID. And if you remember, we started out our county board member meetings over in the county garage, the big county shop. We finally made our way here, and this has been absolutely fantastic, and I appreciate the proprietors of the bowling alley here being so accommodating. However, people have to get here an hour and a half before the meeting starts and set everything up. Then after we adjourn, the same people will have to take an hour and a half and pack everything up and move it. And many of your committee, in fact, all of your major committee meetings are now taking place in the county boardroom, so you can have the WebEx availability to the general public. I don't think we can end that. I think that that's here to stay. That's a way of attending meetings now for involving the public, and I think that it behooves us to continue that practice. This is a way that we can, and one of the things I envy when I would go over to the city hall is they have I call it a hot room, that the whole city chamber there is wired. So they have a meeting, it can be broadcast, and then they can talk to each other on the mics. And so that's basically what our boardroom, there won't be individual mics, they'll be mounted above us, and it's going to be darn nice. So it's more money spent, but I think we're going to save money in the long run, because Barb's staff isn't going to have to be at every meeting sitting back there punching those buttons. If we can learn how to punch the buttons ourselves. And I'm sure we can.
Yeah.
Linda.
Just curious, because technology is in our homes and in our office taking a huge amount of our budget nowadays. So we set this up, and then is there a new amount that's going to have to be paid every year to keep the license, or is there anything like that?
We will have to pay for the room connector every year, but that is part of we're already paying for that every year, so it's nothing additional.
Good question, though.
I would also recommend that we, as part of my budget, every year, set aside a portion for maintenance, just as a matter of proper maintenance. We should be doing for all of our equipment.
Yeah, I didn't quite hear that last comment, Barb. What did you say?
Like we do with all equipment, we should have a maintenance budget for it.
All right, maintenance budget. Mr. C.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, a question for Barb.
Yes, go ahead.
How does this proposed system compare to the system in the conference room at Human Services? They use Zoom there, I guess.
Yeah, they really don't, they just have an owl in their conference room, so this is a much more complex system. This will have microphone arrays on the ceiling, 2 cameras, displays on the front and back of the room. It's a much more complex system.
More useful then.
Definitely.
Yep. If you looked over the proposal, I don't know, was that provided to everyone? Did everyone get a copy of that, Barb?
It's in the folder for Public Works.
Okay. It's impressive. They've looked at our boardroom, they know what we've got. It's not perfect. There's a big beam right down the middle of it. But I appreciate that beam when I was in there when the hailstorm hit, so I appreciated the beam then. All right, I think we're ready to vote on this. All those in favor of the resolution to bring our boardroom into the 21st century signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good deal. Okay, takes us down to, I've lost my agenda. Hang on, I'll get back to it. Technology. Okay. A resolution, all right, we're down to appointments then, aren't we? We're at appointments, and John had a whole list of appointments that, and he knows all these people intimately, or well, at least. Go ahead, please, Acting Administrator.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was informed today that I would be making these appointments and asking for confirmation of the board. So it's going to be very difficult for me to give you any background on any of these individuals, except I can tell you which slots they fill on the committee, and they're all on the same committee. It's just filling vacant positions. The individuals have been recommended by the Coordinated Services Team Coordinating Committee. They made the recommendations to the administrator, to Clint, and then now I'll be forwarding those on to you this evening. So there are 9 individuals, all for the same committee, and they fill designated spots. One is fills the Public Health Manager or RN designee. Another one fills a slot for the Juvenile Court Administrator or designee. Another one is either a service provider or their designee, and the other 6 are either a parent or / guardian. So I'll read through the names and I'll tell you which positions they fill, which slots. So Brandy Anderson, and these would all be effective today if the board confirms those appointments. Brandy Anderson would fill the Public Health Manager or RN designee slot. The Honorable Lisa McDougall would fill the slot for the Juvenile Court Administrator or their designee. Ashley Kramer would fill the slot for the Service Provider or their designee. And then the other remaining 6 people are, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, Angela Jaden, Tara Ruland, Sue Sharp, Sarah Iverson, Sherry Hillesheim, Leah Garner, and again, they are all filling that slot that's either parent or guardian. And we would submit that and ask for your confirmation of those appointments.
Thank you, John. Ingrid Glassbender, are you making the motion to approve? Seconded by Mr. Gatchell. All those in favor of the appointments recommended by the interim administrator signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Congratulations, Mr. Holcomer. Your first official act.
Thank you.
It's been accomplished. Okay. Man, I'm finding need of new technology. Here we go. Here, I've got old technology right.
That's right, number 24. We're going to talk.
Yes. In reports, we have the exit interview from Clint Langrick. He worked for us for 3 years. He enjoyed working with staff and devoted supervisors, partners, and community members. And I will tell you, board, that Clint mentioned to me more than once, wow, what a group of people you have to work with in your county. And Clint has been in a few counties before he got to us, so he was very appreciative, had much admiration for our group of people. Least enjoy, he said the volume and range of projects was a lot, expected and appropriate, but a lot. And many pieces that touched the administrative position. While I often felt I was struggling with delegating and monitoring day-to-day operations being stretched too thin, I am very appreciative of the county board adding the assistant position and the incoming HR director The future aspirations for a full-time finance officer controller, I think, will be terrific in helping shoulder the administrative load. If one could change, what change would you have been considered staying with Richland County, moving Richland County closer to Mineral Point, was his comment. So, he changes, he says the added HR director will be a great help, a future finance officer will also be a great value. Use the transition period, he's talking about this time now before we hire somebody, to assess the experience with Clint, the first administrator, what went well, what did not go well. How do we want to interact and use as a tool with the board, the administrator in the future? Maybe a refined system of prioritizing the initiatives and respecting the time and resources dedicated toward existing initiatives will help manage the drive of changes, improvements. I'd recommend and encourage the incoming administrator to review my last performance evaluation to help them understand where strengths and gaps are in the position. And have you been able to look at that evaluation yet, Mr. Hokemer?
I have not.
Okay, we will make that available to you, sir, forthwith. So he appreciated the opportunity, continue to fight the good fight, sustain a governance that keeps us safe, secure, and represented. And I want to officially thank Clint Langreck for the service that he gave us. He's not here to shake his hand, but we appreciate it, Clint. We hope to see you in the future. That's all I have for reports. Anyone else? John, do you wish to say anything?
If I could, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really wanted to thank you for this opportunity. I know I retired 3 years ago, but last year I had the opportunity to serve as the interim county administrator in Dodge County, and I truly appreciated that. I'm always up for a good challenge, and I know that there's some challenges here. I promise that I will give my best that I possibly can to the county. It is planned that I'll be here 3 days a week, but I know this week I'll be here 4 days a week, so there may be some days that I'll be here more, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I today had a day, started out orientation with IT department. Derek and I met for a while. We took a look at the bills. We audited the bills, the invoices. I met with 5 department heads today. I had an opportunity to meet with Sean before the meeting this evening, met with your chairperson last week. And I just want to provide you the opportunity, and Linda and I are going to meet. We're going to do a tour real soon out at the campus, at the facilities there. So if you want to meet with me, please reach out to me or talk to Cheryl. Let's get it on the calendar because I want to best serve the county that I possibly can. So please reach out to me if you want to meet.
Thank you. So the offer's been made, so take advantage of that opportunity. And with that, unless we have correspondence, do we, Clerk Kalish?
I have none.
Mr. McKee?
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know that we canceled the meeting for Pine Valley last night, and I was out there yesterday morning and signed the vouchers, and I was really impressed. The solar panels are all up, but they're not working. They're not into the building yet, but it's pretty impressive.
I thought you were going to say the sun's refusing to shine or something, but okay. I know, I've heard that it's quite impressive. Yep. Good deal. Okay, thank you. With that, do you have anything else to say? I'm calling for adjournment. Second? Julie Fleming? All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.